A very good afternoon and welcome to today's home of football, the London Stadium, formerly the Olympic Stadium here in East London. It's West Ham against Wolves, live on Wolves TV with myself, Mikey Burrows, the Hall of Famer Andy Thompson, and joining us from home, a future Hall of Famer for sure, Dave Edwards, the dangerous man himself, is with us, and definitely dangerous. Weren't you getting battered up and we're trying to check your eye there? You were involved in some scraps yesterday
Yeah.
playing for Bala.
I'm getting too old for these scars.
I'll tell you what, though, we'll get into the game and we'll talk about the team news, which is very interesting today, by the way. Dave kind of joined us in our little kind of thing when we were getting ready to go live. And I guess the mood was pretty low. But let me tell you, I reached into my bag and me and Tomo Edo are absolutely delighted because I found something that I put in my bag for Christmas.
Oh, brilliant.
I mean, they've been in there for a couple of months and they've been to a number of different stadiums
Have you
since.
checked the date?
Yeah, so who knows whether they're actually still edible. But at least then, you know, we have some extra snacks here to try and cheer us up because, Tomo, it was such a frustration and frustrating night on Thursday night at the Emirates. I don't know whether now you've had a couple of days to kind of look back on it. There was clearly a lot of response from people who felt that we just kind of surrendered a bit too much in that, especially in that second half.
Yeah, it was. And I mentioned on the night they say about keeping possession of the ball, and that was one of the biggest problems that we had for me. We defended really well for long periods of time. I think it was 70 odd minutes before they scored, but it was just relentless. We just kept giving the ball back to Arsenal, weren't retaining it, weren't pushing Arsenal back at all. And you know as good as me. So look, if you keep giving the ball away, especially in that vital area in their top third, sooner or later they're going to have efforts of goal, and it just did. And it was unfortunate about the winning goal where it was deflected off Sarr's hand, but it was coming for me. So you could see it coming with the way that we were going. But look, you seen what it mattered to Arsenal, didn't you, after the game, the way they were celebrating.
Yeah. It's fine margins football, isn't it, Dave Edwards, in terms of, you know, if you step back from the game and take the emotion out of it. Wolves scored a very good goal, you know, He-Chan Huang nicking in, getting the goal. Raul Jimenez, He-Chan Huang at the start of the second half, Pedro Neto, all had really good opportunities. They didn't necessarily play too different to the way they played at Tottenham a couple of weeks earlier. It's just the ball went in, they got the cushion, they held out. Nobody remembers that you were defending for large periods of that game because you saw it through.
No, definitely the result will always control what emotion you feel after a game, and the way they lost it right at the death after being in a winning position, and all of a sudden people are looking at the table and you can see why Wolves are really making a go for this top four, and then to have it sucked away at the last moment, that's what makes it disappointing. But you look at the performance as a whole, it was okay, like it has been in recent weeks, the Leicester game and things like that. But what Wolves are doing is they are still creating chances, like you said, and that's hard to do in the Premier League. And I think we've got to also give Arsenal credit because I thought they were brilliant on the night. I thought they really were. The way they moved the ball, the intensity they played at, they made it really difficult for Wolves. So when Wolves did win it back deep, they really suffocated them and they didn't really have an out ball. Something Wolves need to work on, but Arsenal were very, very good, and they'll believe that they deserve that 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go through some of the team news in a moment or two because there's a lot that I imagine is a reaction to Thursday night, Tomo. But in terms of setting it up for today, we talk about expectation. We talk about this an awful lot. Expectations do change the way the season goes through. It's just managing that expectation, is it not? Then that, you know, some people, including me, were starting to think, could we get top four? Whereas in reality, maybe Thursday night is an example of there is still some way to go to be legitimately in amongst that top six group.
I think there's a bunch of teams that can actually get into that top six and maybe that one slot in the Champions League as well. So it ain't just about us. And so, look, I think that the other teams around us have been inconsistent as well. So, look, they've been losing games, drawing games. And to be fair to us, I think it's, apart from the two Arsenal results, we've done pretty well in recent weeks as well. So if you look at that, you're thinking, we're there or thereabouts. Okay, we know we're not the finished article. We know what we can do. We know our strengths. But as you touched on there about just retaining possession of the ball is going to be important against any games, trying to get yourself out. And the longer we passed it across the back, and again, I said this on Thursday, you could see Arsenal just, as I was saying, suffocating us. And you've got to have that out ball. You've got to have something that you can get forward. If the midfielders are coming a little bit shorter, then you go into the striker. And we just didn't do it well a lot of the times throughout the game.
I just feel, Dave Edwards, that it's about that element of managing the expectation in that, no one is saying that we can't finish top four. Of course we can when we have very good players. And I big up the players more than anyone else. But it's about that element of not expecting us to suddenly be a complete top four. It's about knowing that there are going to be incredibly tough games, and sometimes it will go against us like it did Thursday.
Yeah, it will do, and I think what Wolves have done really well is be a bit more consistent in the other games. It's always going to be extremely hard to go to places like Arsenal and get results, but you've got to almost take yourself back to the start of the season, that huge transition of Nuno leaving and Bruno Lage coming in. I think everyone would have accepted at that point some mid-table mediocrity, but as the players and the management and the staff have done so well, they've kind of raised the expectations with their own performances. And with that, it does come those disappointments when you do get the knocks, but you've got to look at the season as a whole. It's been amazing so far. Me personally, I don't think they've got the depth of squad to really push that top four. If they do, it'll be a monumental achievement, but I just look at the other teams around them and the resources they've got. Wolves have got a very good starting 11, and they've got a really good way of playing, a style of playing. But as soon as they get a few injuries and trying to change a game, that's where it becomes a little bit more difficult for them, I believe.
Well, let's pause that conversation, because if we win today, we will be right back in amongst that conversation about where Wolves can be, and is it top four or is it simply top six? We'll talk about the team news in just a second. I know there'll be lots of people itching to hear the boys with their thoughts on the team that Bruno has selected for this one. But before we do, let's look back on the best from Thursday night. Plays it back towards Ramsdale, and Hee-Chan Hwang has stolen it from him, and it's Hwang, and it's in, and Wolves lead in the Emirates. Stunning moment for Hee-Chan Hwang, who read the danger, nipped it in front of Aaron Ramsdale, and from the tightest of angles has rolled the ball home. Arsenal 0, Wolves 1. Ball from Kilman to find Daniel Podence. Forward towards Jimenez. Jimenez! Oh, just wide. Dragged his shot from just inside the penalty area on his strong right foot. And Saka trying to run the ball forwards, poking it infield. It's Lacazette into the penalty area. What a challenge by Cody. And it's turned goalwards by Lacazette and behind for a goal kick. Connor Cody has produced a top-class piece of defending there. And here's Hee-Chan Hwang trying to get him behind, and it's low across the face of goal and just the wrong side of the post. And he was so close to a second, the South Korean. Odegaard's pass, Nketiah right inside the penalty area, pull back towards Pepe! No! Oh no! Arsenal have got themselves level. Nouri this time has gone on the outside of his man, and he's driving into the penalty area. He pulls it back, it's Neto! Oh, it's across the face of goal. Should have been a corner.
It was a corner.
Danger not over. Pepe keeps it in. Odegaard on the Arsenal right, trying to feed it forwards. It's going to come to Pepe. It's Lacazette into the penalty area, and it's in! Oh no! Arsenal have got it late on! Would you believe it? Heartbreak at the Emirates. Wolves so close to a valuable point. It's been stolen away from them. So that was the result from Thursday, and perhaps some of what happened in that game has influenced what you can see on your screen right now. 5 changes from the start at the Emirates. That is the lineup from Arsenal. We'll get that changed for you in just a second, but I can tell you there are 5 changes from that starting lineup. Out goes Semedo, Nouri, Matinho, Podence, and Jimenez. In comes Hoover, Marçal, Dendoncker, Trincao, and Fabio Silva. There you go. On to the substitutes bench. Ryan Nouri, Jimenez, Daniel Podence, João Moutinho. Willy Bolly comes onto the substitutes bench as well. Johnny stays on the bench with Kiana Hoover coming in to replace the injured Nelson Semedo. We'll talk about that change specifically in just a moment. But on the other changes, Andy Thompson, let's start with the one up top. You can see that man there, Raul Jimenez replaced by Fabio Silva. Your reaction to that, Tomo?
Well, I'll say he's worked hard recently, hasn't he? So looking again tirelessly up front the other night at Arsenal. And he's probably just trying to keep things fresh within the squad. And so look, that's got to be the only, one of the reasons why he's changed the team. Just a bit of fresh legs up front, because I say Jimenez has worked tirelessly in the 2 games that he's played recently. So look, again, you can understand. I was surprised about Potence. I thought that he'd stay in the side. I thought Jimenez might have a rest of some kind. I was surprised that Neto didn't come in. But again, the managers thought that these are the best players for this game today. But so again, they said, it's going to make sure that we've got some fresh legs out there. We've got 5 changes, as you mentioned there.
Dave Edwards, how big a call is that for you? Raul Jimenez coming out and Fabio Silva going in?
I think it's too big a call. I think Fabio Silva has played a lot more football, I would say, in recent months, and it looks like Bruno Lage trusts him a lot more. And it's a big ask. The role that Raul Jimenez plays as that lone striker, especially in a game like it was on Thursday. So much is expected of him work rate wise to try and get Wolves up the pitch, to make himself available, and then to go and compete with every single ball. It's going to be hard for him to come and play again today. So I can understand why Bruno Lage has done it. He's obviously not at the level of Raul Jimenez is, but he's getting closer and closer to what Wolves need. And games like these and valuable minutes are doing the world of good.
The midfield, Edo, João Moutinho, he didn't have a great game coming back in from injury against Leicester, but he did look to be getting back to that level at Arsenal. Do you think it's an element for him about age now, 2 games in a matter of days? Perhaps the explanation why Dendoncker comes in for him today.
Again, that makes sense. I think with João Moutinho obviously coming back in off injury as well, then 2 quick games in succession. He's a massive part to this Wolves team. He's so integral to the way he plays. And I also think he helps Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves has been the star performer, I think, this season, but he plays a lot better when João Moutinho is alongside him. The one thing I will say, Dendoncker, I think he's been excellent when he's been called upon this season, but more so when in a 3. I think when he's in a 2 there, it does restrict him a little bit and does find it hard to influence the game as much. And Wolves don't quite have as much control as what it is with Ruben Neves and João Moutinho being able to use the ball. So it'd be interesting to see how it works out. I'd have liked to have seen another man in midfield, but you can understand why.
Yeah, on that point, Tomo, where do you stand on the 3-man midfield or the 2-man midfield that they've gone with?
I would have thought they would have gone with the 3. I'm surprised when you was telling me early on, guessing game of what the team was. But I thought they would play 3 midfield. I thought they played Dendoncker, Moutinho and Neves in there and just play 2 up top. Because we saw it the other night, didn't we? So you saw Arsenal getting momentum coming through that central area on the pitch as well. But I was very surprised with the amount of games that we've had playing on the Thursdays with the Arsenal games. And Moutinho coming back from injury. As Ed has just said there, that's probably one of the reasons why he's probably not started today. But I was very surprised that they didn't go with the 3.
We'll continue this team news chat. We'll talk about the wing-back positions in just a second. But Gemma Frith has been exploring this fabulous stadium to try and give us a bit of context of today's game.
We are back in the capital for the second time this week for West Ham v Wolves. Our defeat midweek was a tough one to take with 2 late goals, leaving us empty-handed against Arsenal. But today the focus is on bouncing straight back from that defeat as we come up against another tough opponent at the London Stadium this afternoon. Just 2 points separate us and West Ham in the Premier League table, with them sitting above us in 6th. But the Hammers have struggled for results as of late, only winning 1 of their last 5 league games. But they have had a full week to recover hangover from their draw with Newcastle here last weekend, so Wolves are coming into today's match the more fatigued of the two sides. The reverse fixture at home gave us all 3 points back in November thanks to Raul Jimenez's strike, ending West Ham's run of 4 consecutive wins and denying them a move to second in the Premier League table. A victory here today would be the third time we've done the league double over West Ham since our promotion in 2018, and it would lift us above them in the Premier League table. So fingers crossed for another positive result in the capital this afternoon.
Gemma Frith, who has been exploring what is a lovely stadium, and it looks even beautifuler with the weather that it is now. Clear blue skies above us. It looks beautiful. It generally is, although one of the times we were here, which we'll see a little bit later on, was a June fixture, Tomo, the first game of restart, which feels like an awful long time ago. Let's talk about those wing-back positions then, because we know Nelson Semedo today. We think it was a hamstring injury on Thursday night. There was a decision to be made. It was Johnny who came off the bench on Thursday, but he's gone with Kiana Hoover, almost coming in from the wilderness the last couple of games. How big a call is that, Tomo?
I don't think it's a massive call. So he's done pretty well, Hoover, when he's coming to the side, and I think he must think that Johnny's just not quite ready for the start of a game. It was unfortunate about Semedo coming off, because I thought, again, he played pretty well. But, again, there's an opportunity for Johnny just to get a few minutes under his belt playing. But the biggest thing for me, I don't think he wants to rush him back. I think that he wants to make sure that he's ready and he's had a few more minutes under his belt. But Hoover's come in. He's got pace, can run down that right-hand side as well, which is going to be vital for the way that we play, Marcel. I would like to forward a little bit more of a defending fullback, Marcel. But look, he's got enough experience to play out of there. I'm not surprised with everybody who's playing.
Well, we'll focus on the right-hand side there then. We'll come back to the Marcel and Aït-Nouri point. David Woods, it's difficult, isn't it, in Johnny's situation, having been out for so long. But there will be a number of supporters who will feel that if he was fit enough to be on the bench and fit enough to come on in the white-hot atmosphere of that game on Thursday night, why is he not fit enough to start today? Or are we reading too much into that, and it could simply be a tactical thing that Kiana Hoover offers something a little bit different?
No, I don't think it'll be a tactical thing. I think if Johnny was fully match fit, then he would have started today. But there is a little bit of logic which does say if he can come on against Arsenal, he should be okay today. But you've got to remember he's come off 2 horrific knee injuries, and the emotion of what Thursday night would have been for him and things like that. It'd be a big call or a big ask, I think, for Bruno Lage to go and ask him to go and play again. You want to drip feed him minutes, so if he can get another 10, 15 minutes a day, you need to build him up slowly. With ACL and knee injuries, that's really important. So it makes sense in Kiana Hoover. He's got so much talent. For Wolves, Nelson Semedo has been brilliant, I think, in recent months. That's going to be a huge blow. But it's a big chance for Kiana Hoover to really go and showcase what he's got, because he is a wonderful athlete and he's a good footballer as well. So hopefully he can put in a good performance today.
Yeah, the thing with Kiana Hoover, Tomo, is that, it's that exuberance of youth, really. The last time he started was the home game against Chelsea before Christmas. He's generally done okay, hasn't he, really, when he's been called upon? I remember him having a pretty decent game away at Leicester at the start of the season. He's played well in a couple of the cup matches, but he is young, and having not really featured for the last couple of games, what will be going through his mindset being thrown back in today?
I think he'll be okay. I think that he's still a young lad, so he's still learning his trade since his move. But for me, so there'll be no question marks about selecting him into the side. So that's the main thing. So look, for me, so he's got the legs to get up and down that right-hand side. He's going to give him an option down there. And as you touched on there, there's been some points where he's actually looked a big threat going forward. He is quick. He's just got to be careful, and I'm sure he's going to have people behind him talking to him to make sure he doesn't get out of position when he's defending.
What about the left-hand side, David Woods? Marcel coming in for Rain Aït-Nouri. That one seems a bit easier to kind of digest in terms of we know exactly the differences that Marcel and Aït-Nouri offer.
Yeah, again, Ryan Noure, he's had a few games now where he's kind of struggled in the latter minutes with cramp and things like that. So it's a good chance to rest him. It's a bit of a shame because I do think he's improved so much this season, and you'd like to see him go again. Marcel, as a left wing back, I think he's a little bit more limited, but he will give you a little bit more experience. He's got good delivery, he will put a good ball into the box, but he's there just to be a little bit more, I think, balance off Kiana Hoover on the other side, who's going to be a little bit more exuberant and going forward. I can imagine Marcel a little bit more weight. And obviously you've got some talented wide players from West Ham to look after as well. So it seems like a good match.
We will hear from Bruno very shortly. We will talk about West Ham as well, but we're also trying to look back on some better moments from our visits here to the London Stadium in recent past, because obviously we don't want to show last season's visit here for obvious reasons. So let's look back on the first visit and a big moment for Adama Traore. From the 1st of September 2018, delving into the archives, Adama Traore's winner on our first visit to this stadium a long time ago. It feels even longer than just 4 years. Let's talk about West Ham then. Edo, you can go first on this. They started off so well in the Premier League this season, haven't quite really kept up with it, and all of a sudden Wolves have quietly caught them up, and this game takes on an added importance now when you look at the table.
Yeah, they've obviously had a really good season, West Ham, and you can see why with the way David Moyes sets them up and the individuals they got in their team. I just always think, like going into the game at Molineux, they'd won 4 on the bank, so a lot of people were just hoping that we might be able to get a draw or something like that. But I always fancy Wolves. I think it really suits the way we're going to play. And that will be a reason as well, I think, that Bruno Lage has gone for that 3-4-3, because West Ham will, if Trincao and Wang Hee-chan can drop in those areas and get the ball, Wolves can hurt them. And if you remember the home game at Molineux, Wolves absolutely dominated possession, and they did well. They managed to get their goal, but West Ham are very, very dangerous on the counter-attack. It might be a little bit different today of West Ham being at home and more emphasis on them needing to go and get the win. But if Wolves can keep possession and take the sting out of the game, anxious, they're not on the best run at the moment, West Ham, and if Wolves can do that and sort of create chances themselves, I really expect Wolves to go and put in a performance here to go and win the game. And I say, if that can lift them above West Ham in the table, then it'll be incredible.
Is there more pressure, Tomo, on West Ham today? They've got 1 win in 5 in the Premier League, but they have scored in every home game so far. Their last home game, though, they were held by, well, it's a resurgent Newcastle, in fairness, but their fans, we know there's a big expectation here. We've seen it in our previous results, aside from last season. What is it going to be like for them trying to handle things against this Wolves team today?
Well, we've been here and we've heard the fans and the way that they get onto the team if they're not playing well. They'll be expecting to win today, so they'll want to win. Now, Wolves are going to come here. We've made those changes in the team, and he's done that to hopefully get some kind of result out of the game today. And now we can frustrate West Ham with the way that they play. They've got some dangerous players in there. Bowen's in form, scoring. But for me, so look, we just got to make sure that we just play our own game, retain possession a little bit better than we did the other night against Arsenal, and just be patient. So look, just make sure that we defend as we have done most of the season really well, and just make sure that when we do get opportunities, you've got to take them. You've got to be clinical. And I thought that we had probably another 3 opportunities the other night that we could have scored some goals, and we just didn't take them, and it's allowed Arsenal to come back into the game.
One of the things, Dave Edwards, that really stood out in the game here last season when West Ham put 4 past us was the way Mikel Antonio went right on man for man on Conor Cody and kind of used his physicality against him. And also then the wide forwards that West Ham had were really high up on that Wolves defensive back 3. Do you expect something similar today? And I know you talk to Conor Cody a lot. How much would he be aware of the battle he may be in for up against a physical beast like Mikel Antonio?
I think starting with Codes, I think anyone who watches him will look at the size of him as a centre half and they'll say if you can be physical with him, that will give you his best chance. He is very, very clever at the way he defends Connor, so he'll be able to try and give himself some space so Antonio can't wrap him up and roll him and things like that, but it will be difficult. I expect West Ham, as you say, to push on, go 3 against 3 and push on to Wolves' back 3. But if Wolves can just do well it will be brave and do well in possession and break that press, there's going to be all sorts of gaps over the pitch for Wolves to exploit. And then that will naturally make West Ham drop off a little bit. But you look at the team, very, very talented individuals, West Ham. David Moyes, I think, just simplifies things and lets them go out and play. But the spine of that team is very impressive with Souček and Declan Rice, along with Zuma and Dawson at the back with them, Mikel Antonio, the focal point. And if Conor Cody, along with some protection from Neves and Dendoncker, can wrap him up, then that's half the battle today.
West Ham today have made 2 changes. Fredericks and Benrahma have gone out. Johnson and Lanzini coming in. So there'll be Fabianski in goal. Johnson, Dawson, Zuma, Cresswell, Souček, Rice, Bowen, Lanzini, Fornals, and Mikel Antonio. I say the stadium is filling up ever so slowly. We are still, just over a quarter of an hour from kickoff. This place will be full and rocking come kickoff time. Don't forget, live commentary with myself and Tomo will be available for free at wolves.co.uk and via the Wolves app as well. Let's hear from Bruno, who's been speaking ahead of this one.
Just looking ahead then to Sunday, you actually beat them in November. Do you learn anything from that victory? They were in a particularly good run at the time and they're still in a very good place.
It was a very important game, especially when it comes from 2 or 3 victories, but not a good performance. And I think in that moment we did our best performance in October or November, like you said. It was very good for us. I think it was a good victory because we did well. I think we played very well. I think we played very well that game. So look, it's one more game to go. They in that moment they are doing very well. Like now it's our moment to doing very well, and we lose here. That's why football here, it's so crazy when you see what happened in the last 4 or 5 days. So we beat Tottenham beat Man City, after Burnley beat Tottenham. That's why here football in the Premier League, every game it's a hard game to win, and that's why here we need to prepare the game every time in the best way. That's why it's so important, in my opinion. We need to continue to play like we play today. So that's our target. I know when you have 40 points in the middle of February, our fans, especially our fans and all the people, you can see the way we are playing, the way we are scoring goals, the way we are being consistent in the last 3 months. Maybe we can achieve more. So the people can dream about that. And what I can promise them, it's we will go continue to work in that way, just not just for the dream, but for solid things. And for solid things, is to play now against West Ham the same way we play here, to create our chances and to score goals.
Bruno Lage talking to the media. You can see that he was at Arsenal on Thursday night when he did so, because the team stayed down in London for a couple of days to recuperate after that game and then be here at the London Stadium this afternoon. So plenty of hope, I guess. If you want to send us your thoughts and predictions, you can do so at Wolves, at Mikey Burrows. Use the hashtag Wolves Live on Twitter. We will get the boys' thoughts on who's going to be the star performers for Wolves today in just a second. But we've mentioned it a couple of times, so we should look back on the last time these two teams met earlier in the season, when it was a Raúl Jiménez-inspired victory.
There comes Bowen for West Ham, driving forwards, and his cross just evaded Pablo Fornals. Cresswell will pick up on the left-hand side, trying to put it back into the danger zone. Bowen's headed down just wide of the right-hand post with Jose Sarr at full stretch. His grip on the game has grown, and that's a lovely ball for Jimenez. Flag has stayed down. Jimenez into the area, lifts it over the goalkeeper, and it's wide. As Chan Huang goes down the left-hand side, infield to Moutinho, 25 yards out, and he fancies a go! It's just tipped over the crossbar by Fabianski. Getting himself set to deliver. Whipped in towards the near post, headed down by Saiss, and flashes through the 6-yard box and behind for a goal kick. Wonderful first touch. Here's Podence, who strikes it through, and Fabianski just about managed to make the ball squirm past the left-hand side of the post. Back infield to Podence inside the penalty area. Podence striking! Oh, what a save by Fabianski! Neves, lovely ball again. Here's Semedo driving into the West Ham half. Jimenez, first time to the right hand side to Podence. Podence pulling it back. Jimenez! Oh, what a goal! That's absolutely brilliant from Wolves. The slick interplay, matched by a perfect finish into the bottom corner by Raúl Jiménez. And Saiss has done brilliantly, and he now finds Adama Traoré, and Traoré trying to hold off his man, and Wolves have players breaking forwards. Adama Traoré through the middle, Adama Traoré to shoot, it's blocked.
So a victory over West Ham last time out. The big question, Tomo, will it be the same thing this time round? Can Wolves continue what's actually been pretty decent form against West Ham? If you take out last season's defeat, we've had a great record against the Hammers since promotion in 2018. Will it continue, and who's going to be the key person to drive it today?
Well, I'm going to give Silva his first goal in a while. So like I'm going to go for Silva. So I'm optimistic till the end, but I'm going to go for one each.
Big game for him, though, isn't it?
It is a massive game, and he has definitely improved. When he's come on and he's had a few appearances on it, there is a big change in him. He looks stronger. He looks like he's more athletic going forward. He looks like he's had a look at Jimenez, been studying the way that he needs to be playing, and you can see a definite improvement in his all-round game. So I'm hoping that he's going to get something today. I'm hoping that he's going to trouble the centre-halves of West Ham and give them, a bit of a headache.
What about Francisco Trincão, Dave Edwards? How big a game does he need to have today?
He does. I think Daniel Podence has come in the recent months, and he's taken the number one spot of who's going to play in and around Raúl Jiménez, if it's going to be an extra strike or even if they're going to play two. And obviously, Chan scores goals. Trincão has just failed to deliver. He's such a nice player to watch. Technically, very, very good on the ball. And he has moments of magic, but it just feels like the Premier League is a little bit too quick for him at the moment. But there's no doubt in his ability. So let's hope he has a really good game. I think this sort of game might suit him because there will be spaces in the pockets for him to be able to try and find.
There will be a potential, of course, to come off the bench for the third game in a row for a certain Pedro Neto, who scored a wonderful goal here a couple of seasons ago. We are so delighted to have him back from his long-term injury. And Tomo, if we can see a moment like this today, it'll be well worth the second journey to London in a couple of days.
Yeah, it was a great finish, wasn't it? On the volley, I don't think the keeper actually seen it. He's gone down to his knees, the goalkeeper, but the pace of it was unbelievable. But again, that's what he's all about. He's confident in front of goal. He's confident running with the ball. So we've seen that in his few appearances so far once he's come back from his injury. And again, we just want the Neto of old back, and I'm sure that we will once he gets gets a few more minutes back under his belt. But there's no doubt about the talent that the lad's got.
And I mentioned that part of the reason they're mentioning him in terms of the Trincao thing is that element of, Bruno does have these options. He does have, Daniel Podence there waiting on the bench, as well as Pedro Neto, as well as Raul Jimenez, that, if the game needs it, there is suddenly a strong batch of substitutes who can come on and change a game.
Yeah, so look, you're looking at the bench now. So like we've said before, it was about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, where we looked quite thin on the bench. And now when players are coming back, your Johnny, your Neto, Bolly's come back in today. And again, we've got a little bit of strength in depth again, about experienced players coming back into the squad. And it's all about making sure that we use those if we need to. We know that he's made the changes for today's game, those 5 changes. And you look at the bench, there's a load of experience on there, but also as well, there's a load of talent on there. So if we do need some help.
Dave Edwards, Tomo's gone for Fabio Silva to be the match winner today. Who's your match winner? Who's your key player to look out for?
Ruben Neves. I think with the changes that have been made, and I think say Podence and Jimenez do take a lot of the load, and so does Martino when he plays. But Neves he's the experience in that team today, especially going forward. And when Ruben Neves can play well, he really dictates the tempo. And I think he'll have a lot more time on the ball today than what he's had in recent games. And if he gets that and he can start to thread those passes through, also of his quality from in and around the box, I'd love him to get back on the score sheet again.
See, he would say Ruben Neves, though, Tomo. He was hanging out with him a couple of weeks ago.
I've seen the interview.
Yeah, just hanging out with his best bud, Ruben Neves now. He probably asked him to mention him here on Matchday Live Extra. Dave Edwards, thank you very much indeed. More from Edo at half-time and at full-time in our commentary here on Wolves TV and available at the Wolves app as well, wolves.co.uk, and on the move via the Wolves app. From Tomo and myself here at the London Stadium, where hopefully Wolves can get back to winning ways and get right back in amongst that European qualification shake-up. It is going to be fascinating to see, with all the changes that have been made, who stands up and who performs on this sunny Sunday afternoon. Make sure you join us in a couple of minutes at wolves.co.uk.